Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with some more Wargaming in Miniature. And in this video, we are going to be continuing on with our Waterloo project updates. As you know, I am working towards completing enough figures to fight out the Battle of Quatre Bras, and then taking those figures and bringing them on to the Battle of Waterloo. And then filling in certain, proxies where necessary and filling in blanks that I don't have from earlier battles, etc. But I'm planning on splitting Waterloo up into like 3 different major sections, with the left flank behind Hougoumont being the first flank after Quatre Bras. Okay, so really, these updates, even though they're my Waterloo project updates, they're kind of like Quatre Bras updates, because we're shooting for Quatre Bras first, and then we're going to jump onto Waterloo. Okay, so talking about that, in the upper left-hand corner, I've got part of my spreadsheet that I've got where I keep track of different units that I need to paint or that I've already completed painting. Okay, and as some of you might have noticed or known from previous updates, I had made a mistake in my numbers of figures for a specific unit. So what I needed to do was paint up a couple of bases and put them in that unit, and that is this unit right here. This is the unit that I had completed previously. It needed to be a large unit, which I make into 8 bases. But when I had built the models and painted them, I painted them as a normal sized unit, which was 6 bases. So in my recent painting process here, I went ahead and painted a couple of additional bases, which are these 2 bases right here, to fill in. You might notice I'm a little disappointed with the way they turned out. These are Warlord, and all of these are Perry, and Perry plastic, which Perry plastic is great, Warlord is great. But when I went to paint these, you can see that their uniforms are more of a crimson, and these are more of an imperial red. These are imperial red, these are imperial red, that's imperial red. So what I think I'm going to do is do a little highlighting and darkening up of this crimson using imperial red to get them in line with pretty much all my other British. Yes, I understand they're the Guard and they should be really cool, but it needs to be fixed. It really does. I think that the brightness is a little bit off. Now, having said that, these Warlord figures, you might be able to see it, you might not be able to see it, are a little bit chunkier than the rest of these. And that's no big deal. They're going to be in the back rank. They're going to be hidden away. The backpacks are twice as big. The poses are obviously different. They're all in march shoulder arms, where the rest of these guys are in port arms or attack. And but what I plan to do is put these 2 figures in the center too, and then put my lights and my grenadiers on the flanks and pull them for skirmishing and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. They'll be hidden behind the flags, etc. Like, you can barely see this stand right there anyway because of the flags. Now, another thing that I've been struggling with the entire time I do a 2-flag regiment is, do I put both flags on the same stand, or do I put them on side-by-side stands to give to more centralize the flags, or you know, when I do that, when I centralize the flags, then the officer is usually way off center, and the drummer is usually either behind them, hidden, or way off center. Like this one is a drummer behind and an officer in front, and that's pretty much how I would do every command stand if I did it on the same base, right? So especially the large units, I've come to this conclusion. Large units, the flags need to be split because that'll centerize your command element to the center front of your unit, which is the way it needs to be. But if it's a normal sized unit, which is, imagine these two bases gone, then putting your entire command on one stand would also centerize it. So it matters if it's a standard or a large. Having said that, I only came to this conclusion because of the way I based these flags. And so I split them in two bases, and then when I put a normal sized unit together, the command seems to be a little off center. So I don't know, we'll bring that up and you'll get a chance to look at it. I also need to touch up, I also need to touch up their trousers because the wash, because I just recently washed them, and so you really see that wash. I need to highlight the raised areas of the trousers. It'll make those trousers look more white, kind of like the guys in front of them, but it will it'll hide a little bit of that wash too. Okay, so now here's the next thing. When I made these movement trays, because I made these movement trays while I was painting these figures over here and the two in the back, I made the movement tray based on the size of the wooden stands, right? I laid the wooden stands out. I drew, you've seen me make movement trays in the past. But usually 99% of the time, and going forward, it's going to be 100% of the time, I'm going to finish the unit first, then put the unit down on, with the flock and the sand and everything else on the bases, and then draw the movement stand, because this movement, or either that, or if I just decide to do wood without the flock and the gravel, then go ahead and make it extremely big. But this unit had to be forced, shoved, squeezed, tweaked, whatever, to get it to fit inside this movement tray. Because let's get back to it. When I was making the movement tray, I was only measuring the bases, and I didn't give any room for the imperfections that flocking your bases give you. So those imperfections give you an extra millimeter or two of space, like you could see in the center where the bases don't line up just perfectly. I don't know if you can see on this one, but that one stand is kind of trying to pop up, and you got to sit here and push it down in there. Like this base right there is trying to pop up. That's because all four corners were made to wood size and not with the flock, and the gravel. So it works. It's fine. I might go with an X-Acto knife and shave the excess flock and stuff like that off of the bases to make them fit better into the movement tray, which I probably should do anyway, just because you want your units to be uniform and not have imperfections like that. But normally I wouldn't worry about it, because normally I would make this movement tray maybe 1 millimeter larger in all dimensions, and then these guys would fit in there with no problem. Okay, so this is a unit that I finished previously and not currently part of this this update. Well, it is because of that, but let me go ahead and move this and pull another unit out. All right, now this is the next unit. As you can see, these are all Warlord except for the command element, which are front rank models. These guys came out, the Warlord models are, even though there's only a few poses, there's enough to really make the unit look unique. And I made sure that I didn't duplicate too many figures on the front or back ranks. Now the Warlord, the front rank standard bearers are using the 50mm spears from Warlord and not their own personal standards. Now I did order a pack of finals from Warlord. It comes with the spear tip and the tassels. If you were to look at this parry unit, right, let's flip these flags over. You can see that their standards come with the finals or tassels or whatever you wish to call them, depending on where you're from. And oh, and by the way, this was the 3rd Scots, was the 2nd Battalion of the 3rd Scots. And I jokingly say, not this 3rd Scotch Guard. No, it's Scots Guards, which is this unit right here on my it's that unit right there. That's the 3rd Scots. That was the one we just looked at. And you see it had 1,000 men in it, and that's why it was a large unit. This unit that I'm working with now is actually the 2nd of the 1st Guards. The 1st Brigade all had gray trousers, and 2nd Brigade all had white trousers. It wasn't lined up that way. I mean, the regiments decide the trouser colors, but it just happened that the 2nd Regiment of the Foot Guards and the 3rd Regiment of the Foot Guards both have gray trousers, and the 1st Regiment all had gray trousers. White, gray. Okay. Okay, so this unit that we're looking at right now is this one that's complete, which is the 2nd Battalion of the 1st Regiment. No, it's... Wait, am I confused? Yeah. 1st Regiment. Now you can see that they had 919 men. Anything that's 900 or more, in my thought process, and in black powder, should be a large unit. The 800s should be a medium unit, and I'll show you the 2nd of the Coldstream here in just one second. Okay, so looking at these guys, you can see that the Imperial Red looks really good. The poses all fit together. Front rank actually work very well with Warlord models. These guys fit into this tray a little bit better than that other unit, so I don't know what the deal is, because I made both of these trays at the same time, and I got something to admit about that movement tray. I think I might have made it specifically just a hair smaller than I normally do, because there was an imperfection in the cardstock, because when I was tearing it apart before I was cutting it, I tore some of the cardstock, and I didn't want to use that torn piece in my movement tray, and so I think I cut just a little bit too small, and that's my fault. I should have just used it anyway. I mean, you would never see that imperfection. It would be painted over anyway. But that's my admission. Okay, so we got our sergeant on the far end, directing traffic. We got the officers standing in front of or to the side of the standards. We got the King's colors to the right and to the front, and we got the regimental color to the left and one step back. Because the way everything is positioned, I thought this would be the best place for the drummer. I don't have a sapper in this set, but that's okay. You don't have to have a sapper in every battalion. Yeah, and I've went over these flags, over the edges of the flags with paint to cover up the whiteness. I'm going to pull out my Scots Guards again. I'm going to take a look at the tops of those flags. You can see it looks like this one has been painted, but and painted maybe the red, but it looks like I still need to paint the blue because they got too much white showing through the top of the flags. Now I'm just curious. Yeah, same with the back of the flag too. Oh, you might not be able to see it that way. Too much white. I don't know if you can see that, but and you can really see it in the corner there, I think. When you put the flags there, yeah, that red needs to be painted too. So there are people that will paint the paper before they glue them together to get that, to eliminate that. A real dark color, like a really dark gray, is a good color to use because it's kind of neutral, but it's also dark and it'll make the edges disappear. But the problem, or if you've got like a solid color like this all the way around, like this one, then yeah, you could paint that color inside the outer edge of your flag. But I don't want to ever do that because I feel like it soaks through sometimes, depending on the flag company or the paper that they're using. And also, if you're painting something with a variety of a pattern, like the King's color along the edge, I don't want to have to go through there and paint every little corner and crevice and stuff like that before I glue them together. And the main reason why that is even if you do this, you're still going to get white. And the reason why that is, and I tried to explain this in a previous video, but I'm going to try to explain it again. I'm not putting too much effort into it, but paper is three-dimensional. It's not two-dimensional. So there's not only a front and a back side of paper. There's also the edge. And so when you go to glue these, if you paint the back side of the model or the flag, and then you go and the front side's printed, when you put them together, you're still going to get that dead white edge. And I feel it's just fine. Just put it together. There won't be any bleed through or anything, and except for maybe your white glue, which is good. It'll stiffen your flag. But once you glue them together, when it's all said and done, then go back over and touch up the edges. It only takes a second, and it takes about the same amount of time as painting the flag before you glue them together. Yeah, so I just say do it afterwards. Plus, in that case, like on the King's color, I can pick out the blue spots that I need to paint, and I can pick out the red spots that I need to paint, etc. Okay, so this unit is the one that I just... No, wait. Huh? What? Yeah, I did this one maybe a couple of weeks ago. So this unit is also not part of the ones that I am showing off today. Okay, let me get rid of this. And we're going to talk about finals here, just the flag finals. I brought that up for a reason. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, now this battalion is the battalion that I just finished. This and those two bases. I'm using an older movement tray for this unit because it's a smaller unit. It's probably what those Perry guys were in before I realized the Perry actually needed to be a large unit. This unit is the Coldstream Guards because they're only 890. 896. Wow, it's almost 900. But it's not 900. And I made a point that it had to be 900. I don't care if it's 4 figures less. It's a standard size unit. Now you'll notice on this regiment where I placed the flags and the sergeant. I got the sergeant over here on the far left. That's great. And he's also got yellow rank insignia and not white. And also, you see the flags, they were, or the way I had set them up was on two bases to kind of centralize the flag between the two bases. But when it all comes down to it, this is a smaller unit. I should have put all the flags on one base. And on that larger unit, I should have split the flags. So there's been a little growing pains when it comes to these guard units, unfortunately for me. Okay, so these guys look really good. He's a front rank because this front rank command pack came with 6 figures. So, you know, the 2 officers, 2 standards, the musician, and the sergeant. And then the rest of these are all plastic warlord, which I need to touch up their pants just to white. Maybe I don't need to touch up their pants. Make the Coldstream just a little bit dirty, you know? Okay, great. So you've seen all the regiments that I've done. Now, I'm going to show, this is like a little bonus part of it. You've seen these 2 officers. I painted them when I was painting all of my officers. I said to myself, you know, I'm probably going to need a couple of brigade commanders in the future. You know, don't know who they're going to be or whatever. But I've decided to go ahead and make these guys Bing and Maitland. They're the brigadiers for the guard, right? They're both front rank officers. They look really good. I'm very pleased with their paint scheme. We got a gray horse and a brown horse, and I'm thinking this gray horse would go great with the first guards because they're all wearing white pants, and this guy will go great with the 2nd Brigade, which is the 2nd and 3rd regiments, which all have gray pants. Yeah. Now, okay, having shown you that, I've got 1 artillery piece. Let's zoom in again on our paper here. I've got 1 artillery piece already finished. I do have the KGL horse artillery still in their package. I need to go ahead and get them out and paint them. And while I do that, I need to go ahead and paint the Cook, which is the division general for the guard, because I do not have Cook painted and I don't have that KGL horse artillery painted. All right, so this is my guard. I should probably pull the artillery piece out, but you've all seen it. And you can see the brightness compared to the other units. Even these 2 guys in the back. So what I need to do is draw those down a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about finals here just for a second. I've only got 1 regiment with finals, and that's this Perry unit because their standards came with them. But all the regiments or all the battalions should have finals. And like I said, I bought a pack of like 8 or a dozen, I think it's 8 finals to be used with a standard pole. And so those will go great with the front rank poles because they're kind of like already cut at the top. And so you just got to glue one of those final spear tips with cords on it. But since I didn't, there's a bunch of regiments on my shelf that already don't have finals, and they already do have their spear tip standard bearers. I thought of something. I thought, you know, I'm going to be able to do this, hopefully. And so what I did was I ordered me some gold cord, right? Now this gold cord is too thick, in my opinion. I wasn't sure if I needed 1, 1.5, or 2 millimeter. comparing it to these finals, this is way too thick. Okay, you can kind of see on the screen that this is way too thick. But if I was to compare it to the Warlord Games metal, because remember this is plastic, the metal tends to be a lot thicker. 1.5 might actually be okay. But I ordered 1.5 and 1, so I should be getting in the 1 soon. And then I'll compare them to the finals that are on here. And what I'm going to do is just cut off a section, tie it in a knot around the pole, and then have the finals also towards the bottom, tie a knot in the bottom, because there's a knot, there's tassels, there's a knot, there's the cord, and then there's the knot around the pole. So once I cut it, or even then before I cut it, I'm going to tie knots at various points and then cut between the knots, and then so then I'll have these finals with basically knots on both ends, and then I will do the knot tying around the standard. But then you're just going to have some loose floppy cord just hanging from your final, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that. It's really good to have some motion on your flags. But if I wanted to animate them, and I'm not sure if I do, but if I want to animate them kind of the way these are, blowing in the wind or something like that, what I was thinking of doing is just taking some Elmer's glue, putting it between my fingers, and then while the flag final is on the flag, just taking it and kind of rubbing my fingers along the cord to give it to make it stiff, you know. And then if I need to model it into anything, I could do that, and then it'll, as it dries, kind of tweak it back, kind of like what I do with the flags, until they get into a position that I like. Because I think this cord is going to soak up the Elmer's really well. I have some white cord that it's much thicker than this, though. See, that's what gave me the idea. I was in the garage the other day and I saw that white cord, and I said, you know, I could make my own flag finals. You know, why do I need to worry about buying them or these? I can just make my own. And I said, okay, let's grab the white. And then I thought, well, it's the wrong color. It's going to need to be gold. So I thought, okay, I could either paint it first, let it dry. Then when I put it together, it'd be more brittle and paint will flake off. Or I could dye it, you know, in some kind of dye. And then I said, well, hell, if it's the wrong size anyway, why don't I just get the right size? And then while I was ordering the right size, I said, why don't I just get gold? And then I don't have to color it. I don't know. So I've got this gold, and come back Wednesday on my Wargaming Wednesday, because we're going to be experimenting with that during my Wargaming Wednesday. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and watching this. I still need to make a large battalion to come, and the artillery piece and the general to complete the 1st Guard Division. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.